My. Have I been looking forward to this? It's your friendly neighborhood Jeremy here, and I thought it's been a while since I've roasted someone's favorite actor. Looking back on this series and all the names I've covered so far, I realized that every actor without range has a different fundamental problem. I think that's what makes it so fun to tear down each and every single one of them with glee. But I try my best to be objective. With Jennifer Lopez, it's a refusal of interiority. With Sydney Sweeney, it's reliance on physical traits. With Vin Diesel, it's one-dimensionality. And when it comes to Sylvester Stallone, it's pure blandness, an unwillingness to modulate, to let the character reshape how he inhabits space. What's interesting is that Stallone does exactly what people accuse Arnold Schwarzenegger of doing, taking on a variety of roles across different genres only to bring nothing but one-dimensionality to all of them. The difference is that Schwarzenegger eventually embraced the limitation and found a niche where it worked perfectly. But Stallone keeps insisting he's doing something more ambitious while delivering the same mumbled earnestness, physical posturing, and emotional template regardless of context. He mostly gets away with it not necessarily due to audience goodwill, although that's part of it, but because his limitations are camouflaged by the prestige of the film surrounding him. I mean, think about it. Rambo is perfect. The cinematography and score do the emotional work while Stallone delivers flat delivery. Audiences mistake the film's seriousness for the performance's depth. Rocky, Creed, The Expendables, don't even think about it. But he's one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood, for decades. You have to wonder what for. Why cast him in films requiring internal complexity when his entire career proves he's incapable of delivering it? He's built a career on the assumption that doing the same thing repeatedly is doing it well. It's not. It's just repetition. And today I'd like to take the time to call that out. Won't you join me? Why cast him in films requiring internal complexity when his entire career proves he's incapable of delivering it?
You're gonna regret this the rest of your life.
Demolition Man is structured as a dystopian action thriller set in a sanitized, crime-free future where violence has been legislated out of existence. John Spartan is a 20th century cop cryogenically frozen after a hostage situation goes wrong in 1996, then thawed in the year 2032 to help capture a criminal from his own era who's also been resurrected. The narrative is built around culture clash. Spartan's brutal, instinctive approach to law enforcement collides with a society that's abolished weapons, profanity, and physical aggression. The plot documents his gradual adjustment to a world that has evolved beyond his understanding, while simultaneously proving that his old methods are the only thing that can save this new civilization from destruction. The film positions Spartan as someone whose worldview is obsolete but whose capabilities are essential. Stallone plays Spartan with a particular kind of aggressive confusion that never deepens into genuine disorientation. He's a man encountering a world fundamentally alien to everything he understands, and Stallone delivers every line with the same gruff certainty he brings to every role. The confusion is performed through surface-level reactions, squinting at technology, grimacing at the food, rather than any actual psychological displacement. Spartan should register as genuinely unmoored, struggling to process incomprehensible social rules and technological advancement. Stallone treats bewilderment as a character trait, as if he's in one of those unfunny skits where a blue-haired barista from Starbucks starts speaking gibberish.
Who wants a matcha? Who wants a matcha? Strawberry? Lavender? What do you want?
He furrows his brow and mumbles objections, then immediately reverts to his default aggressive problem-solving without adaptation. Now, the film has to work around Stallone's refusal to genuinely embody discomfort, so it over-explains everything so the audience can understand what Spartan doesn't grasp. Supporting characters repeatedly tell him what's wrong with his approach. The narrative constantly signals what should be happening emotionally because Stallone's performance can't communicate it. He's playing a man who walked into the wrong movie and decided to treat it like every other one. The blandness here is specifically Stallone's inability to let a role's thematic requirements reshape his performance. Demolition Man demands an actor capable of registering genuine dissonance between internal instinct and external environment. Stallone simply insists on being the same character in every setting, and the film has to accommodate that limitation by constantly explaining what his performance should be doing.
Not guilty.
I knew you'd say that.
Hey, wait a second. What are you doing?
Grenade! Happy motoring.
Judge Dredd is set in a megacity where judges function as judge, jury, and executioner, operating under absolute authority with no oversight or accountability. Dredd is the system's most effective enforcer, a man who believes completely in the law's righteousness and his role as its instrument. When he's framed for a crime he didn't commit and exiled to the anarchic wasteland outside the city, the narrative is structured as a revenge tale mixed with a not-so-subtle critique of totalitarianism. It's a lot like Equilibrium, and you guys should congratulate me, because it's been about 4 videos without me mentioning that film.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Anyways, Dredd must survive in a world without rules while discovering that the system he served is fundamentally corrupt. The plot hinges on the question of whether Dredd can evolve beyond his conditioning, whether he can recognize the system's injustice without losing his own moral framework. Stallone plays Dredd as immovable, which might seem appropriate for a character designed to be an instrument of law. But immovability and complexity are different things. Dredd is written as someone whose entire identity is constructed around blind obedience, someone for whom questioning the system is literally unthinkable. That's rich material for exploring how indoctrination warps personality as well as how institutional loyalty can replace individual conscience. Stallone plays it as simple stoicism. Dredd's monotone delivery and rigid physicality aren't choices reflecting the character's psychological conditioning. They're just Stallone's default approach to every role. The film requires Dredd to undergo ideological fracture. Confronted with evidence that the system is corrupt, that the judge he served orchestrated his exile, Dredd should register psychological rupture. His foundation should visibly crack. Stallone shifts seamlessly from blind obedience to fighting the system without any internal negotiation visible. He was a fascist enforcer. Now he's a rebel. The transition happens because the script says so, not because Stallone's performance documents the psychological cost of having your entire worldview collapse. Blandness here manifests as Stallone's inability to register how trauma reshapes a person. Dredd emerges from exile exactly the same as when he entered it. Same delivery, same physical language, same emotional distance. A character designed to demonstrate how completely ideology can colonize a personality becomes instead a demonstration of how completely an actor can fail to inhabit the interior life required by the role. It's still my go-to movie to watch whenever in the mood for 90s sci-fi, so don't let me talking shit about his performance ruin that for you.
Well, listen, take care, guys. See you later.
Hey, what happened to you, Freddy?
This fender bender.
She's kind of cute.
Copland is structured as a police corruption thriller centered on Freddie Heflin, the partially deaf police chief of a small New Jersey town where NYPD officers have settled to escape the city's scrutiny. The narrative documents Freddie's slow discovery that the officers he's protected and enabled have been running a protection racket, committing crimes under the shield of their badges. Copland is explicitly designed as a character study, a film about a man finally confronting his own complicity, his desire to be liked overriding his commitment to justice. The plot hinges on Freddie's transformation from passive observer to active participant in accountability. It demands an actor capable of registering shame, self-deception, and the psychological weight of enabling corruption. The film positions Freddie as someone who has confused loyalty with morality, and discovering that distinction should devastate him. Stallone gained significant weight for this role, which generated considerable acclaim for his commitment. Although it shows commitment to a certain degree, physical transformation isn't character work. Stallone plays Freddie with the same emotional distance he brings to every role, just now delivered from a different body. His deafness is treated as a character quirk rather than a lived reality that shapes how he navigates the world. His weight is performed as self-consciousness rather than integrated into how he moves, how he relates to others, how he's treated by the community. I don't know, maybe I'm just asking too much. Stallone delivers every scene with his characteristic mumbled intensity, treating Freddie's passivity as a character trait rather than a psychological condition born from years of invisibility and isolation. Freddie's arc requires Stallone to demonstrate how complicity corrodes from the inside, to show a man gradually recognizing that his desire for acceptance has made him morally bankrupt. Stallone treats the discovery as a plot point. When Freddie finally acts against the corrupt officers, there's no sense that he's overcome something fundamental about himself. He simply switches positions because the script requires it. The blandness here is Stallone's inability to sustain internal conflict. Stallone plays him as someone who discovers information and responds to it, never as someone being psychologically unmade by what he discovers. The physical transformation became the story because Stallone's actual performance couldn't carry it.
He saw me and he bolted.
He's still out there.
Look, I don't know where he is. I found the Mrs. Snowmobile. Whoever took him lit a fire and burned all the personal.
D-Tox is structured as a thriller centered on Jake Malloy, a burned-out FBI agent suffering from alcoholism and PTSD after a failed operation that resulted in his partner's death. Jake enters a remote rehabilitation facility designed to treat addicted law enforcement, where he's simultaneously recovering from addiction and hunting a serial killer targeting the facility's residents. The narrative is built around the collision between internal healing and external threat. Jake must confront his demons while literally confronting a killer. The film positions Jake as someone whose substance abuse is both symptom and escape, and recovery requires him to acknowledge the trauma he's been numbing. The plot hinges on Jake's capacity to be vulnerable while remaining effective, to admit weakness while acting with conviction. Stallone plays Jake as grimly determined, which sounds appropriate until you realize the performance never acknowledges what Jake is actually supposed to be recovering from. Addiction requires an actor to communicate internal devastation, the gap between who someone wants to be and who they've become. Stallone plays Jake with his characteristic hardline confidence, suggesting a man who's temporarily inconvenienced instead of fundamentally broken by substance abuse. His dialogue delivery remains unchanged, whether Jake is drunk, sober, or in withdrawal. There's no sense of chemical dependency altering his cognition, his emotional regulation, or his capacity to think clearly. The blandness here is Stallone's refusal to let a character's psychological state actually affect performance. Jake is navigating recovery while investigating a murder, two competing demands that should create visible tension. Stallone treats both as secondary to his familiar action hero posturing. The facility's therapeutic approach is rendered meaningless because Jake never demonstrates actual vulnerability. He attends sessions and delivers exposition about his trauma without ever embodying what trauma looks like. I mean, I'm not expecting a love lies or anything, but you'd expect a little bit more since he got 20 million big ones for that. By film's end, Jake has supposedly healed through the recovery process, but Stallone's performance communicates no change whatsoever. The same flat delivery, the same physical grammar, the same absence of internal acknowledgement that he's been fundamentally altered by both addiction and recovery. Jake emerges clean the same way Dredd became a rebel, because the script says so.
International waters, calm sea, close enough to land for supplies.
Escape Plan is a heist thriller where Ray Breslin, a former prosecutor who specializes in testing the security measures of supermax prisons, is himself imprisoned in a black site facility designed to be inescapable. The plot documents Ray's methodical analysis of the prison's architecture and security protocols, his gradual identification of weaknesses, and his eventual escape. The film positions Ray as supremely intelligent, a man whose value comes from his mind, not his muscle. The story hinges on Ray's capacity to think under extreme pressure, to maintain clarity when everything is designed to break him psychologically. Stallone plays Ray as a man of action, which fundamentally misunderstands the character's entire design. Ray Breslin is seemingly defined by intellect, his ability to see patterns, to anticipate systems. That requires an actor capable of communicating internal calculation, of letting the audience watch a mind working through problems. Stallone delivers every scene with the same aggressive physicality he's always brought, treating Ray as a fighter forced into a cage rather than a strategist forced into a puzzle. His dialogue is gruff and action-oriented rather than analytical and precise. When Ray is supposed to be studying the prison's layout, considering possibilities, working through logistics, Stallone stands around looking determined rather than engage in actual problem-solving. The blandness here is Stallone's inability to play characters whose primary tool is cognitive. Stallone insists on bringing his familiar action hero energy to a role that explicitly demands its opposite. The film has to compensate by having other characters verbally confirm Ray's intelligence because Stallone's performance can't demonstrate it. He bypasses the compressor so many times in this film it's ridiculous. Ray feels exactly like every other Stallone character, a tough guy confronting obstacles through determination and physicality. The escape plan itself becomes irrelevant because Stallone's performance has already communicated that this is a man who solves problems through action, not thought. Escape Plan reveals that Stallone's blandness extends specifically to his inability to differentiate between character types. Whether the role demands physicality or intellect, violence or strategy, urgency or patience, Stallone brings the same fundamental energy. Honestly, these types of films are the ones you see getting reposted on YouTube Shorts, and you basically get the whole plot from that. I mean, they're just so predictable and boring as someone who watches films for a living. You can probably tell I'm getting pretty bored of this, so let's go through the big ones, then wrap this up.
Donnie, why'd you tell me about this before?
I mean, I didn't know if I was gonna win.
Well, what's that got to do with it?
I don't know. Look, just tell me what I should do.
Creed 2 is structured as a legacy sequel where Adonis Creed, now an established champion, faces Victor Drago, the son of Ivan Drago, the Soviet boxer who killed Adonis's father Apollo in the original Rocky IV. The narrative is built around generational trauma and the question of whether violence can ever be truly transcended or if it simply passes from one generation to the next. Rocky mentors Adonis while grappling with his own mortality and the ghosts of his past. The film positions boxing as cyclical. Each generation inherits the grudges and unfinished business of those who came before. Adonis must decide whether he'll perpetuate that cycle or break it. The plot hinges on emotional maturity, on a character recognizing that some victories aren't worth the cost. Stallone plays Rocky as a man confronting irrelevance. He's no longer the fighter at the center of the story. He's the mentor slowly fading into the background. The role demands an actor capable of communicating quiet acceptance of diminishment, of playing a character watching his legacy pass to someone younger. Stallone plays Rocky with the same aggressive presence he's always brought, refusing to shrink into the role's actual requirement. Rocky should feel like a man becoming a ghost in his own story, present but increasingly peripheral, refusing to let go of the past. Instead, Stallone insists on occupying every scene with his familiar intensity, treating Rocky's mentorship as another form of dominance. The blandness here is Stallone's inability to play diminishment. Rocky's arc requires him to accept that his time has passed, that his role now is to guide rather than fight. Stallone delivers Rocky with the same gruff certainty that defined his earlier appearances, suggesting a man who hasn't actually learned anything about himself or mortality. When Rocky confronts his own health issues, when he's forced to acknowledge his limitations, Stallone plays these moments as temporary inconveniences. The performance treats mentorship as just another way to remain the center of attention.
You okay? You know it's not your fault, right? You tried.
I did try.
Do you want to go ride?
Yeah, go put your boots on.
Okay.
Rambo Last Blood is structured as a revenge western disguised as an action thriller. John Rambo, now an aging ranch owner in Arizona, learns that a young woman he cares for has been kidnapped and trafficked by a Mexican cartel. The narrative abandons any pretense of geopolitical commentary or complex moral ambiguity. It becomes a straightforward revenge fantasy, where an older man methodically hunts and executes those responsible. Where have I seen this before? The film is essentially Rambo turned into a death wish narrative, a character so consumed by rage that his entire existence becomes a countdown to self-destruction through violence. The plot hinges on whether Rambo can find peace, or whether his nature makes peace impossible. Stallone plays Rambo as a man who has finally stopped pretending to be anything other than what he is, a weapon designed for killing. The film explicitly frames Rambo as incapable of evolution, as someone whose entire arc across 5 decades has been a gradual acceptance of his own brutality. That's interesting material for exploring how trauma and warfare fundamentally alter personality, how some people can never truly come home because home requires being something they're no longer capable of being. Stallone plays it as a simple action movie where an old man kills bad people. The blandness here is Stallone's complete disinterest in the character's psychological deterioration. Rambo is someone whose capacity for peace has been permanently destroyed, someone who's tried repeatedly to escape his nature and finally given up. That requires an actor capable of communicating resigned hopelessness, of playing someone for whom violence has become not just a tool, but an identity that's consumed everything else. Stallone treats Rambo's revenge as justifiable catharsis. The film positions the killings as satisfying, suggesting a character who's finally found purpose rather than one who's surrendered to his own damnation. Stallone's performance never communicates that Rambo is destroying himself through violence. It communicates that he's finally being honest about who he's always been. That's a fundamental misreading of the character's actual tragedy, that he's incapable of being anything else. Not that this is what he should have been all along. Last Blood reveals that Stallone doesn't understand the difference between acceptance and resignation, between finding peace and giving up. He feels like Stallone finally getting to play the uncomplicated killer the audience always wanted him to be. Just watch Logan if you haven't seen it already.
It's been some time.
Last, and definitely least, Stakar Ogord appears briefly in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and later returns in a small capacity in Guardians 3. The character himself isn't asked to carry dramatic weight. He exists on the edge of the story as a Ravager captain whose presence hints at a larger history within the universe. In theory, that kind of role benefits from specificity, something that suggests a lived-in past without demanding screen time. Stallone instead approaches Stakar exactly the way he approaches every other role discussed here. The same cadence, posture, and gruff delivery that makes you think he pulled a cabbie lame and sold his persona so they could just paste his face onto a body double and send him a check in the mail for it. It's competent enough to get through the lines, but it never adds anything beyond surface presence. The performance doesn't deepen the mythology of the character or expand the sense of who Stakar might be. If anything, it functions as a clean summary of the pattern across his career, doing exactly enough to fulfill the role's basic requirements while leaving the surrounding world to provide the depth he never supplies himself. What connects these performances is a refusal to recognize that different roles demand different approaches. Stallone has spent decades playing variations of the same character, aggressive, certain, emotionally inaccessible, across radically different material. Whether the role requires vulnerability, intellect, acceptance, or collaboration, he brings the exact same fucking toolkit. The blandness is the result of an actor who learned early that one approach works and decided to perfect it rather than expand beyond it. Stallone keeps insisting he's doing something more ambitious while delivering the same flat delivery in expensive films. And it sucks because he's not even that bad of an actor. He's definitely talented enough to do more. He's just never been willing to try. And at a certain point, when you're commanding top dollar for decades, the gap between unwillingness and inability becomes irrelevant. The result is the same, a filmography where the material constantly has to compensate for the actor's refusal to actually act. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.